Do not mistake my claim for kindness. You are mine now.
Her father's fingers dig into her shoulder so hard she knows there will be bruises later, but he doesn't loosen his grip. Across the table, the man from the city finishes counting the money that will buy her life. He doesn't ask her name. He doesn't even look at her face. He only glances at her thin arms, her flat stomach, the way a buyer checks a broken chair before he drags it away. Outside, the village is quiet in that strange, heavy way that means everyone is listening. Children peep from doorways. A neighbor pretends to sweep the same patch of dust over and over. They all know what is happening. And no, the first thing Suri feels is the weight of her father's hand on her shoulder, holding her in place while the man in the city suit counts money on their cracked wooden table. His fingers dig in hard enough to bruise, as if he thinks she might run. The man doesn't look at her face. He looks at her wrists, her neck, the thinness of her arms like he is checking a goat at the market. Outside, the village children have gone quiet. Even the goats sound nervous. Her mother, Lami, stands by the doorway, hands still wet from washing other people's clothes. A folded piece of paper trembles between her fingers. The man from the city, Mr. Dalrin, that's what he called himself, finishes counting and pushes a neat stack of notes toward Hakim. The money looks wrong on their table. Too clean for this house. Too heavy for the air. You understand, Dalrin says, voice smooth. Once she enters the compound, she belongs to the employer for 20 years. No returns, no complaints. Suri stares at him. Compound. Belongs. 20 years. The words circle her like flies. Her father does not look at her. He licks his thumb and starts flipping through the notes, eyes hungry, jaw tight. And you are sure, he says, there will be no trouble with her condition? Dalrin's gaze slides to Suri's flat stomach and then away, bored. Sir, that is why they chose her. No risk of pregnancy, no scandal. She is perfect for this work. Perfect. The word hits like a slap. Lami finally moves. She walks over to Suri and shoves a small cloth bag into her hands. 2 dresses, a comb, the old scarf her grandmother used to wrap her in as a baby. She does it all without lifting her eyes to her daughter's face. Suri's throat feels tight. Mama, where am I going? Lami's jaw works, but she does not answer. Hakim clears his throat. You will work for rich people, he says. You will send money home. You will do something useful. His grip on her shoulder tightens. Don't shame us. The room tilts. For a moment, Suri thinks she might be sick right there on the floor. The man from the city stands, dusts off his trousers, and finally looks at her, but only the way a buyer looks at a chair he's already paid for. Car is waiting, he says. We must reach the highway before sunset. Suri's legs move before her mind agrees. One step, another. The bag in her hand feels too light for a whole life. Outside, the sky is a hard white, the kind that makes everything look dry and tired. Neighbors watch from their doorways. No one speaks. For the first time, she understands. They are not just letting her go. They are glad to see her taken. Halfway to the car, her knees wobble. She stops, turns back. Her mother is still at the doorway, wiping her hands on her skirt even though they are already clean. Their eyes meet. There is a small, wild hope in Suri's chest that this is the moment Lami will call out. We'll run to her. We'll say they changed their minds. Lami looks away. That is when the crack inside Suri stops being a line and becomes a hole. Before she gets into this story, the narrator's voice softens just a bit, speaking past Suri's pain to the listener. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. Then the focus snaps straight back to the dirt under Suri's bare feet and the door of the car swinging open. The back seat smells like leather and something sharp, like a cleaner, that stings her nose. Suri slides in, clutching her bag to her chest. The door slams. The sound feels final, like a gate closing behind a prisoner. Mr. Dalrin settles in the front, pulls out his phone, and starts talking before the car even moves. Yes, one girl. Confirmed infertile, he says, in the easy tone of someone ordering supplies. Family desperate. No resistance. I'll have her at the compound gate by tomorrow morning. Compound. Gate. Confirmed infertile. Suri presses her forehead to the window. The village blurs as the car rolls forward. The only home she has ever known shrinks behind them until it is just dust and low roofs and the memory of eyes that never really saw her. She tells herself not to cry. Tears will change nothing. Tears never did. Instead, she counts her breaths and listens. If this is her new life, she needs information. She needs to pay attention. Make sure the payment reaches the council account tonight, Dalrin says. They don't like delays. Council. Suri frowns. She has heard that word in stories, in half-whispered news from the capital. People in dark suits who decide things from far away. People who never think about girls like her. Her stomach twists. If people that high are involved, this is not simple housework. The car hits a rough patch of road, jolting her against the seat. Her fingers tighten around the scarf in her lap. Somewhere ahead, a place she has never seen, waits to swallow her whole. Somewhere else, on a tower she has only seen in old newspaper pictures, a man whose name she does not even know is already listening in on calls like the one happening inches from her head. Suri doesn't know it yet, but this ride is not just a sail. It is the first move in a war she never asked to join. And as the sun drops lower and the highway stretches out like a long, narrow promise, one question hangs over her like a storm cloud. When the real buyer finally steps out of the shadows, will he see a broken girl for sale? Or something he can never let go? The compound wall appears long before the gate does, a gray strip running along the road like a scar that never ends. Suri notices it first as a change in the air. The chatter from the front seat dies, and Mr. Dalrin sits up straighter, smoothing his tie even though no one can see him yet. Armed guards stand at the entrance, rifles resting against their shoulders like part of their bodies. The gate is tall, metal, and far too clean for a place that deals in human lives. Cameras blink from corners. A black SUV idles inside the yard, engine humming low. Whoever owns that car is not someone used to being kept waiting. Remember, Dalrin says over his shoulder, voice suddenly sharp. You speak when spoken to. You keep your head down. No crying. If they think you are trouble, they send you back, and your parents will have to return the money. You understand what that means for them? Suri nods once. She understands very well. If she is sent back, her father's debts will not disappear. They will grow teeth. The gate rolls open with a slow grind. The car moves forward, swallowed by high walls and watchful eyes. Inside, the yard is neat, almost pretty trimmed grass, a small fountain, white stones lining a path. It should feel safe. It doesn't. Several girls stand near the side building, lined up like they are waiting for inspection. Most keep their eyes on the ground. One, a dark-skinned girl with braids and a tight jaw, looks straight at Suri's car as it passes. For a moment, their eyes lock. There is no welcome there, but there is understanding. Dalrin parks and steps out. Suri's hand shakes on the door handle. Before she can move, a man in a black suit and dark glasses appears, opening the door for her with a clipped gesture. Out. She obeys. Legs unsteady on the smooth driveway. The suit man looks her up and down as if checking a list only he can see. This the new one? Yes, Dalrin says quickly. Village girl. Infertile. Age 17. Paperwork is in order. The man in the suit does not respond. Instead, he touches a small device in his ear and speaks in a low voice. Delivery's here. Gate 3. Send confirmation from upstairs. Upstairs. Compound. Paperwork. Words stack in Suri's mind, forming a narrow bridge she is trying to cross without falling. He turns back to her. Follow me. No talking. They walk past the line of girls. Up close, Suri can see details of bruise fading on one girl's jaw, another's hands clenched so tight her nails bite into her palms. The braided girl gives the smallest nod. Almost nothing, but enough to say, you are not the first. You will not be the last. Inside the main building, the air is cool and smells like expensive soap and fear. The floor shines so bright she can see her reflection. A thin figure with wide eyes, and a bag that looks like it belongs to a child, not a slave. They stop in front of a heavy door. The suit man taps a code into a panel. The door clicks, then opens. What Suri doesn't know, on the other side of the city, in a tower that watches over all this, another door is opening too. A different set of eyes is about to look at her name for the first time. Upstairs in the compound, a woman at a desk receives a call. The village girl is here, the guard says. Do I log her as property for House Darius, or the council fund? There is a pause. Then a new voice cuts in on the line, deeper, calm, carrying a weight that changes the air, even through the speaker. Neither, the man says. She is being rerouted. Direct order from the Alpha King's office. The woman freezes, pen hovering above the form. In this place, there are many names for power, but only one name makes people stop breathing for a second. Outside the office, unaware her file has just been pulled from one pile and dropped into another that almost no one knows exists, Suri steps through the door. The room beyond is bare except for a table, 2 chairs, and a camera in the corner. The suit man gestures to a chair. Sit. Look at the camera. A red light blinks on. State your name. A voice orders from a speaker. For a moment, Suri forgets it. She has been called so many other things: curse, burden, useless, that her own name feels far away. Then it comes back like a small, stubborn flame. Suri, she says, voice rough. Suri Hakim. The red light flares brighter, recording. Somewhere in the capital, that name is being copied into a very different file, on a very different desk, under a man who does not buy broken things. He collects what the world throws away and turns it into a weapon. The voice on the speaker pauses, as if listening to something only it can hear. Welcome, Suri, it says at last. Your placement has been upgraded. Upgraded to what? Suri grips the edge of the chair, heart pounding, as the door behind her unlocks with a soft click. The first time Kynan Draven sees Suri, she is not in front of him. She is a grainy image on a screen in his war room, frozen mid-blink. A village girl caught in the harsh light of a compound camera. He leans forward, elbows on the table, eyes narrowed. Around him, the city stretches far below the glass wall, a maze of lights and lives he controls more than the council would ever admit. Run it again, he says. Baren, his chief of intelligence, taps a key. The video rewinds, then plays. They watch Suri enter the bare room, clutching her cloth bag. They watch her hesitate before the chair, then sit. They hear her name, thin but steady through the speaker. Suri Hakim. Kanan's gaze doesn't leave the screen. Zoom in on her eyes. Baren does. The picture sharpens just enough to show the way Suri looks at the camera, not like an animal at the slaughterhouse, not like someone already empty. There is fear, yes, but also calculation. She is measuring the space, listening for what people do not say, counting exits she cannot reach. You pulled her file already? Kanan asks. Baren slides a folder across the table. Village report, healer's record, school notes. Official label, infertile, low economic value. Unofficial label in the village, cursed. Her parents signed her over to the broker yesterday. Payment went through one of the council's shell accounts. Kynan's jaw tightens. Of course it did, Baren continues, eyes on the paper. There's a note from a rural teacher. Says she used to stand outside the window to listen. Claims she solved problems faster than his top students, just from hearing the lesson through the wall. She lifts her head. He wrote that the only thing stopping her was access, not ability. Kanan's mouth curves, not quite a smile. The world threw her away because her body cannot carry a child. No one noticed her mind could carry more than most of theirs. Baren watches him. You have 73 such files from this network alone. You could have chosen any of them. Why this one? He does not answer at first. On the screen, the video ends with Suri flinching at the click of a door behind her. The image freezes again. Vulnerable. Alone. Facing a system that has already stamped a word on her forehead and sold her as if it were truth. He remembers a different room. A different stamp. His father on his knees. The council's soldiers reading out the charges like a list of groceries. Traitor. Threat. Disposable. Because she was sold by the people who were supposed to protect her, Kanan says at last, voice low. The council funds the market that bought her. If I take this girl from under their hand, they will notice. They will feel it. Baren arches a brow. This is about sending a message? It is always about sending a message, he replies. But this time, I also need someone who owes me nothing and no one. Someone the world already marked as useless. Those are the people who understand value best when they finally receive it. Baren leans back. You think she can handle your world? He studies Suri's frozen face one more time. I think she has already survived the worst part of it without my help. The rest, she will learn. She closes the file. The broker, Dalrin, is still inside the compound, waiting for the payment confirmation. Do I let the council collect their cut before we move? Kanan shakes his head. No. Take him before he leaves the city. Quietly if you can. Loudly if you cannot. I want his accounts, his roots, and every name he has sold in the last 5 years. And the girl? A slight pause. Beneath the table, his hand curls once, then relaxes. Flag her as under royal protection. Effective immediately. When they try to move her to House Darius, they will find her gone. Mirren's lips twist, snatching their product off their own shelf. Bold. He stands, the chair scraping back. I took the throne from their hands without asking. Do you think I am afraid to take one girl? She shakes her head, a hint of respect in her eyes. I'll handle it. As she leaves, Kynan walks to the glass wall. The city glows beneath him, Arenthal beating like a mechanical heart. Somewhere down there, a scared girl in a bare room is waiting for a door to open that will decide the rest of her life. He touches the cool surface of the glass, a habit he hasn't broken from his days in hiding, when he used to look out from cheap rooftops and swear he would one day own the sky. You were thrown away, Suri Hakim, he murmurs, more to himself than to the empty room. Let's see what happens when someone refuses to let you disappear. Back in the compound, in that small room with the blinking camera, Suri hears footsteps approach. Heavy, certain, like whoever is coming is used to people stepping out of their way. The handle turns. Stand up. The order snaps through the room before the door even finishes opening. Suri's body reacts faster than her thoughts. She is on her feet in an instant, bag clutched to her chest like a shield. 2 new men enter, both in dark suits, but cleaner, sharper than the guard from before. Their eyes sweep the room, landing on the camera first, then on her. One of them holds a tablet, thumb moving over the screen. Subject: Suri Hakim, he reads. Status: reclassified. Immediate transfer under royal directive. Royal. The word hangs between them. Suri's mind jumps to stories told in low voices at the well about the Alpha King in the capital, the man who took the throne back with his own army, the man council members smile at in public and plot against in private. Those were stories for nights when the power went out, and people wanted to scare themselves. Those stories were not supposed to reach this small, cold room. I don't understand, she says before she can stop herself. Her voice sounds too loud. Where am I going? The man with the tablet looks up, surprised she spoke. For a second, something like pity flickers across his face, then hardens back into duty. You'll be told what you need to know when you arrive, he says. For now, you move when we say move. The people who thought they owned you no longer do. Another pair of guards appears at the door with a rolling cart and a new bag. One reaches for Suri's old cloth bag. Instinct flares. She pulls back. Please, she blurts. Just let me keep this. It is the first true plea she has allowed herself today. The scarf inside is the last piece of her grandmother, the last proof that once someone held her and thought she was worth wrapping in something soft. The room goes still. The lead guard studies her for a long second. In this place, girls usually know better than to ask for anything. He nods. Once. Fine. Keep it under your seat. But when we say go, you don't slow us down. Understood? She nods quickly, heart pounding. They move fast. In less than a minute, she is being marched down a different hallway, away from the line of girls she saw before. Past a door, she hears muffled voices, someone arguing about a missing file, another voice snapping that the order came from higher up, higher than anyone in this building. Outside, the sky over the compound has turned a dull orange. The first car she rode in, Dalren's car, is gone. In its place, a black SUV waits, with the engine running. The windows are tinted so dark they show only reflections. Suri's thin frame, the guard's broad shoulders, the guard tower behind them. Inside, the man with the tablet says. She hesitates at the open door, looking back just once. A guard at the gate is on his phone, voice tight. A woman in an upstairs window slams her hands on a desk. Papers fly. Whatever is happening, it is not what they expected. For the first time since she left home, Suri feels something cut through the numb fear. A thin, sharp thread of curiosity. If they are this angry to see her taken, whoever is taking her must be even more powerful than they are. Is that better or worse? She steps into the SUV. The door shuts beside her with a softer sound than Dalren's car, but it feels even more final. This is not a buyer collecting a product. This feels like being claimed by something the village never even believed she would be close to. As the car pulls away from the compound, she glances back through the rear window. The guards at the gate grow smaller, arguing with someone on a small screen held high. The walls that held her for less than a day begin to fall behind like a bad dream. In the front seat, one of the men makes a call. "Transfer complete," he says. "Package secured. ETA to the tower. 40 minutes. Tower. Not house. Not kitchen. Not servant quarters." Suri presses her nails into her palm until it hurts. Grounding herself, her thoughts race. A tower means height. Height means windows. Windows mean a view of a city she has only ever seen in worn-out newspapers and cracked phone screens. She stares at the back of the driver's head. "What do I do when we get there?" she asks quietly. The man in the passenger seat glances back at her. "You breathe," he says. "You answer when the king speaks to you. And you remember that the people who sold you no longer have any say in what happens next." She swallows hard. The words should feel like comfort. Instead, they feel like stepping off a ledge with no idea how far the drop is. The city lights grow brighter in the distance, a cluster of gold and white against the darkening sky. Somewhere in that glow, a man with too much power and too many enemies is waiting. He has seen her face before she has seen his. He has chosen her before she has ever heard his voice. As the SUV merges into the main road toward Arenthal, sirens wail far behind them at the compound. Short, sharp, angry. Whatever line was crossed when they took her, it is already echoing back through networks of money and fear. Suri closes her eyes for a second, feeling the hum of the engine under her feet, the pull of the city ahead, and the tug of a past that is already out of reach. When she opens them again, the tower is on the horizon, black against the sky, growing larger with every breath. By the time Suri stands in front of the tower, her legs feel like they might not belong to her. The building rises so high it seems to slice the clouds, all black glass and steel, every light in its windows sharp and deliberate. The air here feels different, cooler, heavier, full of the kind of money and decisions that never reach villages like hers. The SUV door opens. A woman in a crisp dark suit waits on the sidewalk, tablet in hand, hair pulled back so tight it looks like a warning. Her name tag reads, Miranda Cole, but everyone around her calls her Miran, the way people shorten a name when it belongs to someone important. "Step out, Suri," Miran says. Her voice is calm, but there is no softness in it. Suri climbs out, clutching her bag. The ground under her feet is smooth stone, no dust, no cracks. Large doors of dark glass slide open as they approach, as if the building itself is assessing whether to let them in. Security scanners glow blue at the entrance, humming quietly. Miran notices the way Suri looks around, every movement sharp with awareness. "Keep moving," she says. "Staring too long here makes people nervous." Inside, the lobby could swallow her whole. High ceilings, polished floors, walls lined with art she's only ever seen in old magazines. A massive wall of glass looks out over the city, but Suri barely has time to register it before Miran is guiding her toward a private elevator guarded by 2 more men. They scan badges. The elevator doors open. The space inside is small, lined with mirrors. For a moment, Suri is surrounded by versions of herself from all angles. A thin girl in a worn dress, clutching a cloth bag in a place built for people who wear power like a second skin. Miran taps a code. The elevator rises, smooth and fast, her ears popping lightly from the change in pressure. "Why am I here?" Suri asks, voice careful. "The man in the car said the people at the compound don't own me anymore." "Who does?" Miran studies her reflection instead of her face. "You were on a list," she says. "Girls, the council and its friends thought no one would miss. They were wrong. The king reads those lists." "The king. The Alpha King," Miran clarifies. "Kanan Draven. This is his tower. Every person who walks in here owes their place to him. Some owe him their lives. Some owe him nothing yet." Her gaze flicks to Suri's in the mirror. He prefers the second category. Suri's hands go colder. "What does he want from me?" Miran's mouth lifts at one corner. Not quite a smile. "That is what you're about to find out." The elevator doors slide open with a soft chime. The top floor is quieter than the lobby, like the air up here is listening. Wide windows show the city spread out in every direction, lights blinking like a million small hearts. The floor is darker, the furniture simple but expensive. At the far end of the room, a tall man stands with his back to them, looking out over Arenthal. Broad shoulders, relaxed stance that still seems ready to move fast if needed. Even from behind, there is something about him that makes every guard in the room hold themselves a little straighter. "Kanan," Baren says. No title, no your majesty, just his name. Like respect and history are already packed inside those two syllables. He turns. Suri has seen pictures of the Alpha King before, torn from old newspapers, passed around at the market like secret coins. None of them fit the man in front of her. In person, he is more and less than the stories. His features are sharp, his skin a deep brown tone that catches the low light, his eyes dark enough that it's hard to tell exactly where he is looking until the moment they land on her. When they do, it feels like someone just pulled her file straight out of her chest. He walks forward, unhurried, hands at his sides. No crown, no robe, just a black shirt, black trousers, and a watch that probably costs more than her entire village. Power hangs around him not like a costume, but like air. This is her? He asks Baren, gaze still on Suri. Yes, Baren says. Suri Hakim, 17, from Larkhaven Village, certified infertile, sold to the compound by her parents yesterday. Teacher's note flagged her for above-average pattern recognition. Kainan's eyes narrow slightly at the word sold. He stops a few paces away, close enough that Suri can see a small scar along his jaw, like someone once tried to cut the power out of his face and failed. He speaks directly to her. Do you know who I am? Suri's heart stammers against her ribs. You're the Alpha King, she says. Kainan Draven. He gives a small nod. Then you understand I do not waste my time. His voice is smooth, but there is an edge under it, like a blade wrapped in velvet. You were on a list of girls meant to disappear. I do not allow the council to throw away what I might find useful. Useful. The same word Dalren used, but somehow, from this man, it doesn't feel like an insult. It feels like a test she hasn't taken yet. You were told you would be cleaning floors for rich families, Kainan continues, obeying small men who think money makes them gods. That will not be your job here. If you stay, you will work for me. You will learn quickly. You will be watched closely. And you will never go back to the people who sold you. The floor seems to tilt under Suri's feet. If I stay? She echoes. Do I have a choice? His gaze sharpens, like he didn't expect the question but respects it. Everyone has a choice, he says. Some just have better options than others. You can leave with a small sum and take your chances in a city that does not care if you vanish. Or you can stay in my tower, under my protection, and become part of something that will make the people who called you worthless regret underestimating you. Behind him, the city glows. Behind her, the elevator waits like a throat that could swallow her back down into the streets. Suri looks at the glass, at the reflection of the girl holding a cloth bag in a room built for kings. Her whole life, other people have decided what she is allowed to be. Other people have named her curse, burden, waste. Now a man who terrifies ministers and moneylenders with the same calm stare is offering her something she does not yet understand, but it is more than nothing. Her fingers tighten around the handle of her bag. Her voice, when it comes, is low but steady. If I stay, she asks, will I belong to you? For a heartbeat, the room holds its breath. Guards glance up. Miran's eyes flicker. Kainan studies her. Something unreadable, moving behind his gaze. No, he says at last. You will belong to yourself, but the world will know you stand beside me. And in this city, that is enough to change everything. Suri feels the answer settle in her chest like a stone dropped into water. It sends ripples out toward her parents in their dark house, toward the broker who wrote her price on a slip of paper, toward the council members who signed off on networks of girls like her. She does not know yet what this man's darkness truly costs. She does not know how many lines she will cross to stay in his world. But she knows one thing. Walking back into the elevator would mean going back to being no one. Stepping forward means becoming something they never planned for. She takes a slow breath, and then she takes a step toward the Alpha King. You understand, the city man says, pushing the neat stack of notes toward her father. Once she enters the compound, she belongs to the employer. 20 years, no complaints. 20 years. Belongs. Compound. Suri clutches the small cloth bag her mother shoved into her hands, 2 dresses, a comb, an old scarf from the grandmother who once held her like she was a blessing, not a burden. Her mother won't meet her eyes. Her father keeps counting. This is the moment a whole village throws her away. What none of them know is that, miles away in a tower of black glass, A man the world fears is already watching the route she's about to take. And the girl they just sold as worthless is about to become the one person the Alpha King refuses to let disappear. The first alarm hits the tower like a heartbeat skipping. One sharp tone, then a red strip of light flares across the top of the glass wall. Suri jerks her head up from the tablet on the desk, the numbers she was sorting blurring as men in dark suits straighten at once and reach for earpieces. She has been in Kainan's tower long enough to learn what each sound means. This one is different. Not a drill. Not a test. Real trouble moving fast. Baren strides into the room, heels hard against the floor, a phone pressed to her ear, her other hand already calling up security feeds on the main screen. Which route? She snaps. Confirm. The central display shifts. The compound she left not long ago fills the glass, caught from a high angle. Smoke curls from one side of the wall. Vehicles crowd the gate. People run, small, dark shapes against the bright concrete. Someone has hit the same network that once held Suri, but not with rescue in mind. A guard at the side murmurs. Council's people. They moved faster than we thought. Kainan appears without warning, like he stepped out of the shadow between two breaths. His gaze goes straight to the screen, jaw set. Suri feels the room tighten around him. His presence clicks everything into place, the way a lock recognizes its key. They're burning evidence, he says. Girls, files, roots. They want to erase the trail before we pull the rest of it apart. Suri's hand curls around the back of her chair. She sees a cluster of small figures shepherded by men with guns along the inner yard. Some stumble. One falls. No one stops to help her up. Her chest aches as if someone reached in and grabbed her ribs. Baren's fingers fly over the controls. We can hit their transport on the south road, she says. We already marked the trucks. Your order? Kainan's eyes narrow. We take every truck, every guard, every driver. No council badge leaves that place standing. And we do it with witnesses. He turns to the room. I want that footage ruined for them and perfect for us. The city will see who they have been feeding. He looks at Suri then, sudden and direct. You know that yard. You know how they move people. What are we missing? The question lands on her like a weight, and a hand up at the same time. She steps closer to the screen, her voice shaky at first, then stronger. They keep the youngest girls in the side building, near the water tanks, she says. Emergency drills always pull them last. If smoke is there already, they will lock that wing to keep them from running. They care more about paperwork than people. Baren nods. We didn't have that angle. I'll reroute a team. Suri's eyes sting. You're going to get them out? Kainan does not look away from the chaos on the display. I do not save everyone, Suri, he says quietly. I am not a saint, and this is not a charity. He turns his head just enough for her to see the cold fire in his expression. But when I decide some will walk out who were meant to die, I do not fail. The tower hums with motion, now orders sent. Teams moving, engines starting far below. Suri stands between the glass and the screens, caught in a space where her past and her present collide. The place that sold her is being broken open. The man who took her from it is about to show the city what happens when he decides to pull a curtain back. She has never felt this much fear, and this much relief twisted together. If you've been following Suri's journey up to this moment, listening to how a girl sold as useless is now standing in the room where power decides who lives and who pays, ask yourself this. What would you do if the place that tried to erase you was suddenly on its knees? Would you watch in silence? Or would you demand to be part of the answer? Kainan steps closer to her. You wanted to matter, he says, almost like he is reading her thoughts. This is how it starts. Not with comfort, with choosing which pain you can live with. Below, black vehicles peel away from the tower, headed straight toward the smoke. On the screen, Suri sees one guard raise his weapon at a girl who is too slow to move. The feed glitches for a second as another signal cuts in. Kainan's lips press into a line. Put me through to their loudspeakers, he orders. If the council wants to play with fire, let's see how they feel when the whole world watches them burn their own secrets. As his voice prepares to echo through the compound she left, Suri understands one thing with chilling clarity. Whatever happens next will not just decide the fate of those girls. It will decide what kind of king Kainan chooses to be in front of the entire kingdom, and she is standing close enough to see exactly how far he is willing to go. The first image the city sees is not the fire. It is the face of the Alpha King, broadcast in sharp focus on every screen the hacked signal can reach. Suri watches from the tower as his features fill the main display, his voice rolling out over the compound speakers and into crowded markets, office lobbies, and cramped living rooms across Arenthal. "This is Kynan Draven," he says, calm and clear. "If you are hearing my voice, you are about to see what your council funds in your name." The feed cuts back to the compound yard. Panic. Smoke. Girls being shoved toward trucks. Guards yelling into radios that now carry nothing but static. In the tower, Mirren's team overlays the council's own financial seals on the corner of the image like stamps of guilt. Suri can almost feel the hush spreading through the city as people lean closer to their screens. Some in shock, some in denial, some in grim recognition. They see the walls that were never meant to be seen. They see the line of girls who look like they could be their sisters, their daughters, themselves. On the ground, Kanan's vehicles slam through the outer gate. Cameras mounted on their frames send new angles back to the tower. Armored doors swing open. Men and women in the Alpha King's colors move with fast precision, weapons up but controlled, voices sharp and steady. "Target the locks on the side building," Mirren calls into a mic. "Room block C, near the water tanks. That's where they keep the youngest." Suri watches one of the feeds split off. A small squad breaks left, smoke thick around them. They disappear through a side door. For a breath, the screen shows nothing but gray and moving shadows. Then the picture clears enough to reveal a narrow hallway crammed with terrified faces. Girls press back against the walls, coughing, eyes huge. One reaches out when a rescuer appears through the haze, her hand shaking. The rescuer takes it without hesitation and starts pulling them toward the exit 2 at a time. In the main yard, council-paid guards try to form a line. One raises a weapon toward the oncoming black vehicles. Before he can fire, a shot cracks from somewhere off-screen, knocking the rifle from his hands. Another guard drops his gun altogether and throws himself flat on the ground, hands over his head. The balance of fear is changing in real time. Suri can't blink. Her heart pounds every time a figure stumbles, every time smoke hides the camera for a moment too long. These girls were supposed to vanish. Now their faces are being sent into homes and shops and dirt floor rooms all over the kingdom. Beside her, Kanan stands perfectly still, eyes tracking everything, giving short, sharp commands when needed. There is no joy in his expression, no performance, just a hard focus that says he has been waiting a long time to pull a string like this. "Public opinion will split," Mirren murmurs, half to him, half to herself as she watches the numbers spike on a secondary graph. "Some will call you a hero. Some will call this a stunt. The council will scream about security breaches. Let them scream," Kanan says. Every word they use to defend this makes them smaller. Suri looks at him, then back at the screens. She thinks of the village healer who declared her empty, of the money that's stacked on her parents' table. Somewhere, people like that are staring at these same images with their mouths open. She wonders if any of them recognize what they helped build. If you're still listening, still watching this unfold in your mind, pause and check yourself. When power finally exposes the ugly truth everyone tried to hide, do you cheer because someone did the right thing? Or do you flinch because you suddenly see where your own silence sat in the middle of it? Let me know in the comments what you would feel if a secret like this came out in your town. On one of the small feeds, Suri sees a familiar shape, Dalren, the broker, shoved face first against a wall by one of Kynan's people. His suit is dust-stained now, his neat hair crooked. The calm buyer from her village looks very small, with his arms pinned behind his back. Kanan notices her staring. "That one?" he asks. "Yes," she says, voice low. "He counted the money while my father held me so I couldn't run." Kynan nods once. "Then he will be the first name the city learns," he says. "They like to pretend this system is faceless. We will give it a face." The rescue teams begin pulling girls into the open yard, lining them up away from the smoke. Some hug each other. Some stand stiff and shaking. One refuses to let go of the rescuer's sleeve. "How many?" Kynan asks. Mirren scans the live count. 43 pulled so far, more coming out of the side wing. She taps another feed. "We lost some records in the fire, but we got the servers out. We'll rebuild the rest." For the first time since the alarm, Suri lets out a slow breath. Not all of them. Not enough. But more than zero. More than the world would have saved without someone like Kynan choosing to care for his own reasons. The siren tone in the tower shifts, dropping from sharp warning to a lower, steady hum. Phase 1 complete. The city has seen what it was not meant to see. The compound is under new control. But as the flames die down and the trucks are secured, another reality sets in. The council will not let this pass. They have been exposed, embarrassed, and cut out of a market they thought they owned. Suri looks at the man beside her, the one who just turned their hidden cruelty into a public wound, and understands that today was not the end of anything. It was a strike in a much bigger fight. And now that her face, her file, her name, are part of that fight, walking away is no longer a simple option. The first threat doesn't arrive as a bomb or a squad at the door. It arrives as an invitation. 3 days after the compound raid, as the news cycle still chews on images of rescued girls and burning walls, a message appears on Kainan's private line. No crest, no signature, just neat text. The council requests a closed session with the Alpha King to discuss matters of national security and public order. Baren reads it out loud, dry. They mean, you embarrassed us in front of everyone? Now come, let us pretend we still matter. Kainan sits at the long table in his strategy room, fingers tapping once against the surface. Around him, screens replay clips from talk shows, street interviews, and late-night specials. Some people call him brave. Some call him dangerous. A few, paid well by old money, warn that no one man should hold this much power, not even to do good. Suri stands near the edge of the room, holding a stack of printed reports. She has spent days helping cross-check names from the rescued girls against missing persons lists, building pattern maps that make even hardened analysts pause. The closer she looks, the more she sees herself in every gap. They are going to try to turn this on you, she says quietly. Say you made everyone less safe by showing the truth. Kanan glances at her, a quick, assessing look. You think I should have stayed quiet? She shakes her head at once. No. I just think they will do anything to keep people from asking why they funded those walls in the first place. He nods, a small tilt of his chin. Good. You are starting to understand how they work. Baren folds her arms. If you go to this meeting, they will record every word, even if they claim not to. If you don't go, they will call you a tyrant who answers to no one. Both are true enough, Kainan says. The difference is what I do with the stage they are offering. He stands, the decision already made in the way he moves. Set it up. Close doors, their home ground, their rules. And make sure every one of my people on the security team knows that if I say a certain word, they clear the building and lock it down. Baren's eyes narrow. You think they would try to take you out there? I think they are desperate and stupid enough to try, he replies. And I am happy to let them show me how far they are willing to go. That night, as the tower's lights dim and the city hums below, Suri finds herself on the balcony outside the quiet wing where most staff never go. This side of the tower looks out toward the poorer districts, where roofs are close together and lights flicker more than they shine. Someone steps out beside her. She turns, heartbeat jumping. But it's not Kainan. It's a boy about 12, with Kainan's eyes and a scar along his left forearm. She has seen him once or twice, always at a distance, always surrounded by quiet protection. Jalen, he says, offering his name first, like he's used to people wondering if they are allowed to ask. Suri, she replies. He leans on the railing, toes barely touching the bottom bar. You were one of the girls from the video, he says. The one from the little room with the camera. I saw you on every screen in the tower that day. She feels heat in her face. I didn't know they were recording like that. They always are, he says simply. My uncle says if you want to beat people who hide their bad acts, you have to be better at watching than they are. Uncle. She studies him, fitting pieces together. Kanan never talks about family in public, but he watches this boy with a different kind of focus than he gives anyone else. Are you scared he's going to that meeting? Jalen asks suddenly. With the people who hate him? Suri looks back out at the city. I'm scared of what they'll do to stop him, she says, and of what he'll do back. The boy nods slowly. He's always telling me power is a tool, not a shield. Tools cut both ways if you don't hold them right. They stand in silence for a moment, the wind cooler up here, carrying sounds from far below cars, music, someone laughing on a distant balcony. If you've walked with Suri this far, think about this small moment. A girl sold as worthless, and the nephew of the most feared man in the kingdom, sharing the same rail, staring out at a city that expects both of them to stay where they were put. What would you say to the next generation if you were in Kainan's place? Would you teach them to play safe, or to hit hard and accept the scars? Share your thoughts. Someone listening tonight might need your answer. Jalen looks up at her. He doesn't bring many people this close, he says. If you're here, it means he sees something. Don't waste it. She nods, the words settling over her like both blessing and pressure. The next morning, the tower's private motorcade pulls out before sunrise. Kynan is in the center car. Mirren rides ahead. Suri watches from the window high above, fingers pressed against the glass. On the news, they are already running live footage of the council hall steps, where cameras wait like open mouths. Commentators talk about historic tension and questions of authority. No one on those screens knows that buried under the council's polished floors are panic tunnels and dead-end corridors the public never sees. No one knows that Kynan's people already have the blueprints. As the convoy disappears into the early light, a thought settles in Suri's mind like a cold coin. This meeting is not just about old men arguing over rules. It is the moment when either the Alpha King or the council will walk out weaker. And in a world that loves to crush anyone seen as fragile, Suri understands one hard truth. When giants fight, it is always the people like her who get stepped on, if they lose. The explosion shakes the tower before the news anchors can even form the word attack. Suri is in the data room, cross-checking lists. When the floor gives a short, sharp lurch, the lights flicker. One of the analysts curses under his breath, hand flying to his earpiece. What was that? Suri asks, heart thudding. Wait, the analyst mutters. Checking feeds. Every screen in front of them flicks from numbers and maps to live footage outside the council hall. Smoke pours from one side of the grand staircase. People run in every direction. A car, or what's left of one, burns near the curb. Sirens wail, high and panicked. The anchor's voice trembles. We are getting reports of an incident at the council complex. Repeat, an incident at the council complex. The Alpha King's convoy was scheduled to arrive moments ago. Mirren's voice cuts into the tower's internal channel, sharp and fast. Lock every entrance. Full security protocol. We lost visual on Kynan's primary car. We are working off backup feeds. Suri grabs the back of a chair to steady herself as the room fills with moving bodies. Techs pull up new angles. One feed shows a side street, where black vehicles try to turn around in too tight space. Another shows a patch of cracked pavement near the blast, empty where a car should be. What happened? Someone demands. Was it a bomb meant for him or for them? Mirren appears in the doorway, face tight, tablet in hand. Both, she says. Council thought they could scare him or frame him. Someone else used their chaos to try and take him out too. Congratulations to them. Now they have all his attention. Suri's stomach drops. Is he alive? Mirren pauses just long enough to make every heartbeat in the room stretch thin. Then she nods once. Secondary car. He switched last minute. His instincts are still better than their planning. A weak laugh ripples through the space, half relief, half lingering fear. But he went inside, Mirren adds. The council sealed the hall, called it a security measure. They think they're keeping him contained. They have no idea I can still hear everything coming through their walls. She taps the tablet, and sound fills the room, a muffled argument, echoing over high ceilings. Council members shouting about stability, blame, the image of the kingdom. Kanan's voice cuts through, steady and cold. You built a market on girls who never had a choice, he says. You funded compounds that burned rather than face daylight. And you dare speak to me about order? An older voice snaps back. You are not a law, boy. You are a moment. Kings fall. Councils remain. Outside the hall, police lines push cameras back. On some screens, protesters are already gathering, holding hand-painted signs with words like, "Our daughters" and "Where were you?" Suri watches it all, hands shaking. The fight she helped push into the light with her file, her memory of that compound, is now in its ugliest phase. If you've been sitting with Suri's story until now, think about this crossroads. When justice starts to cost real blood and smoke, would you still want the truth out? Or would you wish everyone had stayed quiet? Your answer says a lot about what kind of world you want to live in. An alarm on one of the side panels blinks. Unauthorized movement inside the council's underground level. Mirren frowns. They're trying to move someone out through the back tunnels, she says. Probably the ones who signed off on those funds. They want to vanish before the public knows their names. Suri hears herself speak before she has fully thought it through. Can we stop them? Mirren looks at her. You've never been down there. You don't know the maps. But I know how people like that think, Suri says, voice gaining strength. They won't take the straightest exit. They'll take the one that keeps them near their records as long as possible. They think if they can grab a few files, they can rewrite the story later. Baren studies her for one long beat, then hands over the tablet. "Show me," she says. Suri steps closer, tracing the tunnels with a fingertip. "Here," she says. "This bend. It keeps them away from the main blast, close to the archive room. That's where they'll split the group. Some will run, some will double back to save their paper." Baren relays the new route to the ground team. Minutes stretch, feeds blur. A small cheer erupts when one camera shows masked council aides being dragged out of a side door, arms zip-tied, boxes of documents dropped and scattered. Then a new figure appears on the edge of the frame, tall, calm, walking through smoke as if it were only fog. Kynan. He has dust on his suit and a thin line of blood along his sleeve, but he is upright, unhurried. He stops in front of a councilman trying to slip into an unmarked car. "Going somewhere?" Kynan asks, voice picked up by a shaky phone camera nearby. The video will be replayed 100 times in the coming days, slowed down, dissected, argued over. In the tower, Suri sees it first in real time. The councilman freezes, eyes darting to the phone lenses, the officers, the smoking hall behind them. "This is an outrage," he starts. "You think you can?" Kynan steps closer, into the frame's center. "I think," he says, "that the people who fund cages for girls do not get to run while those girls are still learning how to breathe again." He gestures once. Security steps in. The councilman's protest cuts off under the snap of restraints. In the tower, the room exhales as one. But Suri knows this is not victory. Not yet. The blast, the arrests, the footage, they are all pieces in a long game that will not end today. She also knows something else. Something that sinks deep. By speaking up, by recalling details, by daring to ask for more than survival, she has helped shape the path of a king and the fall of men who never learned her name. That kind of power is heavy, and it is not free. The first time Suri walks back into her village, she does not do it in the back of a buyer's car. She walks through the main road in full daylight, head high, with a quiet security team a few steps behind and the weight of the tower stamped in every careful movement. People stop what they are doing. Buckets pause mid-lift, hands freeze in laundry tubs. A child's ball rolls into the dust, and no one picks it up. The girl they thought they had sold and forgotten now walks through the same dust as someone the news has started calling the king's witness. Her parents' house looks smaller than she remembers. The cracks in the walls are deeper. The paint has peeled more. She stands at the doorway for a few seconds, feeling years of sharp words press against her ribs. Then she knocks. Hakim opens the door. For a moment, he doesn't recognize her. His eyes slide over the nice but simple clothes, the neat braids, the calm set of her shoulders. Then something in her face clicks, and all the color drains from his cheeks. "Suri," he breathes. Lami appears behind him, wiping her hands on her skirt, the same gesture she did the day she packed Suri's bag. When she sees who stands on the step, she grabs the doorframe to steady herself. "You're alive," she says, like it's a surprise she doesn't quite know how to carry. Suri looks between them. There are no cameras here, no screens, no council members or guards, just four walls and the people who once decided her worth in the space of a sunset. "Yes," she says simply. "I am." Silence stretches. The security team stays back, out of sight, but close enough if needed. Kanan made it clear she was not to come here alone. "You don't owe them anything," he had said. "You go because you choose to, not because they called you." Suri steps inside without waiting for an invitation. The house smells the same smoke, old cloth, the faint sharpness of cheap liquor. She walks past the table where money once sat like a verdict. "I saw what you did," Hakim blurts, words tumbling out in a rush. "On the screens at the shop, the girls, the fire, the king, they said you helped him. That you," he struggles for the word, "testified." Lami's eyes fill with something that might be shame, or might just be fear turned on a new target. "We didn't know," she says. "We thought, they told us it was honest work. We thought you'd send money back." Suri lets the lies hang in the air. She remembers every word they spoke over her head, every time they called her a burden. The healer's voice saying her womb was empty. Like that made the rest of her empty too. "I didn't come here so you could explain," she says quietly. "I came so you could see me." Hakim swallows. "We were desperate," he says. "The debts, the land. You sold me, she cuts in, not loud but firm. You chose which child to turn into cash. You listened when a stranger put a price on me and called it mercy. Lami's shoulders slump. What do you want from us now? Suri looks around the cramped room one last time. Nothing, she says. I have food. I have work. I have people who see more in me than what I cannot give. You taught me what it feels like to be thrown away. He is teaching me what it feels like to be chosen for what I carry in my mind. She turns toward the door, then pauses. The girls they took from other villages? Some of them are coming here. Not to this house, she adds, seeing panic flicker in her parents' eyes. To the school. There will be a new program. Training. Support. If you want to do something useful, you can make sure no one in this village ever sells another daughter again. She steps back outside. The sun feels hotter here than on the tower's balcony. Children stare from a distance, whispering. One little girl, maybe 8, clutches a torn notebook to her chest, the way Suri once held scraps of paper she wasn't supposed to touch. What's your name? Suri asks. Amaya. The girl whispers. Suri nods toward the school building at the edge of the village. Do you like numbers? Amaya nods, quick and bright. Good, Suri says. You hold on to that. There's going to be a place in the city soon, where girls like you can learn as much as they want, without anyone telling them they are too poor, too quiet, or too broken. When you're ready, we'll talk. As she walks back toward the waiting car, dust curling around her ankles, she feels the weight of eyes on her back. Some are guilty. Some are curious. Some are just trying to understand how the girl they called cursed now speaks with the calm of someone who has sat at the edge of a king's war table. Back in Arenthal, time moves fast. The council loses seats. Trials begin. Dalrin's name becomes a warning on people's tongues. The compound network shrinks under raids and frozen accounts. In the tower, a new floor is cleared and redesigned. Classrooms, a small library, quiet rooms with computers and whiteboards. Jalen runs through the halls with a soccer ball, dodging desks and laughing. Miran pretends to be annoyed but hides a smile. Suri stands in one of the finished rooms, chalk dust on her fingers, a simple diagram on the board behind her. Girls sit at desks in front of her, some from the compound raids, some from programs in poor districts, some sent quietly by families who are learning that worth is not measured only in children born. This is not a school you pass through and leave the same, she tells them. This is a place where the world's trash becomes its sharpest tools. Later, when the day's work is done, and the city's lights glow like a field of scattered stars, she steps out onto the balcony, where she once spoke to Jalen. Kynan is there, leaning on the rail, jacket off, sleeves rolled, the faint scar along his jaw catching the light. You went back, he says. Not a question. Yes, she answers. Feel better? She thinks about it. I feel finished, she says. Like a door I left open is finally closed. He nods. That is more than most people get. They stand in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the city they have both bled for in different ways. You know, he says finally, this started because someone told you that you would never create life. She huffs a quiet breath. They were wrong. He glances at her. I see those girls, Suri says, looking toward the floors below where laughter and low voices still drift up. The ones we pulled out? The ones who come here on purpose now. Whatever I build with them, it's more alive than anything they thought I was missing. Kynan's mouth curves, just slightly. Then we agree on one thing at least, he says. They should have never tried to erase you. If this story touched you, if seeing Suri go from being sold as worthless to standing where her voice changes lives to moved something inside you, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next story of courage and second chances on this channel. And take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear tonight. Thank you, and God bless you for watching and supporting us always.